Hi, my name is Deborah Henson-Conant, and I'm answering questions for a harp research project by Selina Hare. And another question that she's asking me is to describe my ideal harp. And what do I care most about having in a harp? What is my favorite harp style? Well, you are looking at my favorite harp. I played the concert harp very early in my life, and I got really frustrated with it. I loved it when I was sitting and playing it, but I wanted to have an international career. I wanted to be able to do concerts. I wanted to be able to play with my own instrument. I wanted to be able to play in front of a symphony orchestra and have an instrument that would stand up to that kind of music. I wanted to write for symphony orchestra. I wanted to write concertos, and I needed a harp that could do all of that. And so my vision of a harp was a harp that I could wear, that would be light enough to wear, strong enough to, withstand travel, and loud enough to be able to be intimate, so that I could play intimately and still have people hear it in the back row of a big, in a big theater, like a 2,000 seat theater, and that could play over a symphony orchestra. And so I worked with the Kamak company for 2 decades now to develop this harp, which is named after me, which is called the DHC. And it is a carbon fiber harp. It is a fully electric harp. There is a pickup on every string, and I can do all that with it, as well as play with a rock band, which I did in 2012 when I went on tour with Steve Vai. So this really is my ideal instrument. And it did not exist when I started, except in my own mind. And because of my incredible opportunity to have a lifelong, basically, collaboration with the Kamak Harp Company, this harp now exists. And now other people are playing it, and being able to live their own visions through this instrument. Selina also asks, what is your favorite harp style? Do you think the way a harp looks influences how its sound is perceived by an audience? And yes, absolutely. I think that one of the things that was interesting early in my career was that I played a harp that looked like a concert harp, and so I was really going against stereotype. I would put the stereotype out there, and then I was playing against it because I was playing jazz. And then I changed the way that I look. Originally, I went, even in jazz clubs, I would wear long gowns, and then I would play differently. And then after I started working with Corky Hale, I got an NEA grant to go study with Corky Hale, who's a wonderful jazz harpist. And one of the first things she said to me is, you need to show people that you're going to do something different from the minute you step on the stage. And at that point, I started dressing very differently and having more fun with how I dressed. Now I notice that when I walk on stage with a harp that I'm wearing, and it looks completely different than what people expect of a concert harp, in many ways their minds open up. And yet still, one of the first things that I do when I go out on stage is I play something that plays into their stereotype and into sort of their cliche, so that we have that first place that we meet in what they think a harp is, and then I can diverge from that. Selina is asking, is there any part of the harp that you would change? Well, I am constantly working on changing the harp, working either with Kamak or just as a user. And I think that's been, I was just reading a story about the Model T Ford when it first came out, and how people would buy them and then they would modify them because they were, that's how they got them to kind of work for them. And that's what I'm always doing, is I'm always modifying my harp. For example, on the back, there was no place on this harp for a tuning key. I don't know if you can see this. And so on the back, I put Velcro and a tuning key. And I built the harness for this harp, and I built the hardware that goes with that harness. I'm constantly doing things that will help me play more easily. When I went on tour with a rock band and the lighting was crazy, I had lights put on the harp so that they're all around the harp, so I can see even in the midst of a light show. I added, additional colors on the levers because I had to do kind of crazy levering when I was on tour with the rock band. And I am constantly, changing my harness or building new things. And I think that is my job, in a sense, as a major as part of the development team, I mean, I invented the idea and then I'm part of the development team working with CAMAC. It really is my job to change this harp. One of the biggest things I would love to change is the harp only weighs 11 pounds, but the stand weighs, I don't know, too much. And so making it all more portable is really important to me. So that is one of the biggest things I would change about this harp. About the concert harp, I was always hoping that they would come out with a carbon fiber concert harp that was not only light, which they have done now, but also truly portable, able to be sort of, not without a soundboard, so that you could really travel with it. This is always really important to me, is portability, both on my body and to be able to travel with it, because that's what I do. And concert artists have to be able to travel with their instrument. So I'm constantly looking at functionality, and at portability and travelability.